Hey, what's up, people? Dimitris Skopelite here. Today we're going to talk about the new Mercuriall product, which is called Mercuriall 1987X-SG. Of course, we're talking about an emulation of a Marshall amp, which is called 1987. So I decided to use a Gibson Les Paul to kind of get more into the mood of this amp. I think Mercuriall, they made a great job doing this emulation because it works exactly like the real deal. And I mean, not only in terms of sound and visual, but also in terms of tweaking and kind of working out the sound that you want to get. Let's say that I opted for a more heavy sound because the music I play is more kind of progressive metal, and comparing to the other plugins, I had the feeling that this one, the other plugins of Mercuriall, I had the feeling that this one was more rock oriented. Say that it was pretty easy to do some presets which are fitting my music, so with a lot of gain and kind of really compressed and ready to go for the recording. Once again, I made some patches, and I'm gonna go through the patches and I'm gonna show you how I made those. All right, so let's start with the first one, which is a clean. So we go here and we select clean, this Skopelite clean. You're gonna find the patches on the software once you buy and download it from the website. So you're gonna find my signature patches there. So the first one is a clean. Very warm sound. So, if we look at the interface is pretty similar to all the other plugins which are included in the amp box. By the way, for those who are not experienced or they are not familiar with the amp box basically is a box where you find all the most recent Mercuriall plugins. One of those was the emulation of the 5150, which was called EVX, and then you find the rectifier, and then you find, of course, this one, 1987, the U530, and the Reaxis, and the U4, which is the emulation of the Bogner. I believe I demoed all those amps, all those emulations, so you can find the videos on my channel. Here, let's go back to us. You have the clean. So for the clean, I opted, of course, for a preamp, which is the 1987X-SG, and then, of course, there is a power amp included, and then there is a cabinet. If you open the cabinet link, then you find the possibility to change cab according to your taste. You have some impulse response in the software, and some others you can actually load in from a folder that you have in the computer. Then you have emulation of the mics. In this case, I'm using a 57 and a 441, which is a classic, and there is a bigger amount of 57 compared to 441. The 57 is on the side of the speaker, and 441 is more in the middle. This is a clean, so I use the chorus, which is the same chorus that you can find on the other amp box plugins, and I believe also on the previous Mercurial audio plugins. Also we have the delay, same thing here, which is the same of the previous version, and the reverb, same thing again. So basically the way I mix that is like just a little bit of effect. There is a little delay that you can hear, but basically the chorus is really low in the mix, and the reverb is the same that I used for more or less all the other sounds, so it's more like the room sound. Let's move ahead. The next patch is the rhythm, which is a more classic rock. Here instead, I use the gate in order to kind of clean a little bit, clean out the amp noise, which is there in the background, even though my gain in this case is pretty low, and I'm having another noise gate here on my system. So you hear, in this case, the noise of the amp, which is supposed to be there. It's a good thing, actually. It's like an amp works. Alright, then we have a graphic equalizer, so that I kind of, I did several patterns with the same sound, but in this case I wanted to equalize a little bit, to get a little more low end. So I used the equalizer, the graphic equalizer, which is the one that we usually use in front of the amp, like the pedal, like the old school equalizer pedal, or something like this, just to understand each other. Then we have a tube screamer. Tube screamer has a little bit of gain, and gain at 9 o'clock and maximum level to get the signal a little bit bigger inside the amp, and then a little bit, or at least a lot of high end. If I switch off the tube screamer, we get some kind of low output distortion, if we can call it like this. Let's move to the next feature. Here is the cab, and I use the same cab as I did in the previous preset. Also there is a parametric equalizer to kind of reduce a little bit a kind of high-end sound that I had, probably due to the guitar or whatever, and so you can actually redefine the sound that you created at the higher scale, in a way. A little bit more precise, go and find frequency which is producing that sound that maybe you don't like, and just turn it down, right? Like we do in the recording and in the production process or mixing process, probably. Then we have the reverb, which is basically the room sound again. Next preset is the lead. have more gain, there are several ways to go. You can increase the input of your guitar, or you can actually go and find the overdrive and increase the gain, the drive, or you can actually go directly on the interface of the channel and increase it. So there is no maximum gain at all, but I wanted to get more into the rock mood, so I didn't want to exaggerate with the amount of distortion. But I'm gonna do that later, because actually the second part of the demo will be more based on something that I usually use on my recordings, and that a lot of people, modern guitar players, like playing 7-string and 8-string guitar, they use. So the more kind of dark side of music in a way. So let's keep going. Basically it's the same, like the rhythm, and but plus you have delay and you have the reverb, more reverb, and you have a little bit of modulation actually, just to make it more smooth. You actually don't hear the chords much. Next patch is crunch. So basically same configuration as the rhythm, but with a little bit of delay and reverb. Now let's move to the more gent side of things. So for doing this other demo, I'm using an Inspiria DLP. This is my signature model. You can find this guitar together with other models on inspiriaguitars.com. Check it out. So let's go back to us. The pattern here is going to be, I mean the patch or the preset, whatever you want to call it, is going to be gent, disco peliti gent. In this case, instead I went for a distortion pedal, which is the metal area, which is an emulation of the Metal Zone, which is a classic. Some people hate that. Honestly, I never really kind of used that, but the few times that I used it, I kind of like that. And that's the case as well here, because in order to increase a little bit more the aggression, on an amp which is more vintage, it's a good way to do it is using a distortion pedal in front of the amp. That's the gent rhythm, and then we have a gent lead, which is called GJL, which is the same, a little more distortion, modulation, and delay and reverb as well. The next one is the Gent Ultra, DJ Ultra, which is basically as the Gent, but is a little bit more extreme. So, at the end of the day, I think Mercuriall, as usual, they did it right. I suggest to everybody who play gent and all this, you want to have an amp which sounds more vintage, this is the plugin for you. This is all. Thank you so much for following me, and subscribe if you didn't do it, and ring the bell. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye.